Welcome to Sit Down with the Superintendent, presented by GCHS TV. Join us as we welcome Greenup County Superintendent Tracy Moracey to our roundtable discussion hosted by GCHS students. And good afternoon and welcome into another edition of Sit Down with the Superintendent. James Collier joined with Superintendent Tracy Moracey coming back from spring break. And Tracy, I think it was one of the things, spring break, although we were kind of stuck at home and not a lot to do, I think it was a welcome addition for the rest of just a little bit of everybody. Not so much as of being able to get out and do what we normally do for spring break, but just an opportunity to kind of unplug and just let everything kind of settle in for a second.
I agree, and I will tell you, my own children had to get back into the swing of things on Monday. I'm not for sure. I think spring break was a wonderful and much needed break, but now it's a hard sell to get everybody back to work on Monday. So I think we probably need to talk about a couple of reminders as to what we have available for kids to make sure that they're getting their work accomplished.
Yeah, it's something I think for the kids as well as the students of just trying to get back in that normality of things. I know I started rolling stuff back out to my students yesterday and honestly spent Monday just trying to get everything graded, trying to get stuff caught back up, getting some grades in the Infinite Campus and getting back to the normal thing. But here we are after spring break, and of course this is in a normal school year, this is the final grind. This is the grind toward graduation, and of course so many things that we still have a lot of uncertainties about that we're going to discuss here in just a little bit. But getting back into that normalcy of having that normal part of your day to where you're working on your work, you're getting your contacts from your teachers and doing your stuff to where I guess the normal bedtime is not 3-4 o'clock in the morning because we're binge watching something on Hulu or Netflix.
Yeah. And here's the thing, our teenagers are still going to probably do that, but they're going to need to step it up and continue to get their regular work done too.
Yeah,
I don't know that we can control their Netflix intake, but what I will say is, parents, if your child, no matter the grade level, if it's high school, middle school, elementary school, says, I don't have anything, nothing's been assigned to me, you might want to reach out to that teacher or call the school and double check because they do have assignments. All of them have assignments. Some of them may have assignments that are due prior to spring break. So we have a pretty good participation ratio. I'm very impressed with what our students have accomplished, especially under the constraints of not having maybe someone at home who can help them, which is a real concern I have. However, and kudos to the teachers who have been available. I know my own personal husband, he's available for his students. It'll be 10:30 at night and he is responding to a Remind 101 message with a question about, how do I do this and where do I turn this in and can I just take a picture of it and send it to you? And the answer is yes. They can just take a picture and post it in Google Classroom if it's paper, things like that. So we are trying to be as accommodating as possible, but we also need that same work ethic coming back our way so that we don't have such a loss in instruction. That's a big thing. We want to make sure that our students are getting the instruction they need. We also have our special ed teachers, speech teachers, occupational therapists. If your child happens to have any of those services from us, those are also ongoing. So those folks are in touch with you and they can do things via the telephone, via internet. So just reach out if you're not getting those messages from them. If you see a number you don't recognize, a lot of people are using something called Google Voice, and that allows them to send out a phone call to students without giving out their phone number, because I think a lot of you probably understand it's important to not give out your
kids. They're not getting my number.
Right, yeah, you don't want to give out your personal number. And that's something even the state has reminded us that our teachers need to make sure they're giving out Google Classroom. If they use Facebook, use a teacher Facebook. If we communicate to you from the school, use a school Facebook. We really don't need to cross and intermingle personal relationships and school relationships. That's very important. So I'll put that little tip in there as well.
And something for the parents at home, most of the classrooms that we have throughout the district are using some form of Google Classroom.
Correct.
And there is a feature that you can opt into to where you can provide your email address. The teacher can add that in there. It's going to send you an email. Now, the one thing I will caution you, it typically will not show up in your inbox. You'll have to go either to your junk mail or your clutter.
Okay.
Because it comes in, I believe it's something like no reply at Google, and it's some kind of crazy thing. Okay. So a lot of times it gets pushed off into another site. But once you accept this, what you're going to see is you're going to see an option to select either a daily update or a weekly update. And on the daily update, what it will say is it will give you any assignments that have been posted by the teacher, anything that's coming up due, and any updates about your student that has happened in Google Classroom itself. So it gives that parent that option of being able to see without having to sit there and kind of look over the student's shoulder, and the student flashing their phone real quick going, oh, well, look, there's nothing there, and then boom, it's done. So this allows you, because the thing that I will say, because of confidentiality, we cannot allow a parent to be a part of that classroom.
Right.
This gives you that option of seeing only your student. So parents understand this, that with one parent being able to see their student, they will not be able to see anybody else's. They're not able to interact with the student. They are only able to see that part of the classroom that involves their student only.
I'm so glad you added that in, because that is another thing we're really working on, is making sure we're maintaining our confidentiality. We've even given the option of, if you are doing a Google Meet, we're encouraging kids, if they don't want to put their face on there and they just want to put the initial or an emoji or something there, that's perfectly fine. But we really have to make sure we're still maintaining that confidentiality. That's important for our kids.
And one thing, too, that you may have seen or heard on the news and stuff, Zoom bombing or whatever it's called. One thing that I want to point out is, and I speak for most of the people here at the high school, and I'm sure you can refer to this too, and Stacey Spears has really been at the forefront of doing. We don't do a lot of Zoom meeting with Greenup County. We are through Google.
We are
and
Google.
The nice thing with Google is that when we create our meeting rooms, it is through your school email account. If anyone tries to enter that room with an account other than their school email, it's automatically flagged. And the person operating the room, in case this case the teacher,
Correct.
They see this and they can accept or deny that person entry.
We do like the safety features in Google, and so there are a few neat things that Zoom can do. You can get a fancy background, you can see a grid view a little better, but honestly, the Google is much more secure, and that's what the kids are used to. It's what we've been using this entire time. This is not a new thing for our kids, so why change it? So we are keeping with Google.
Yeah, and the nice part is that Google has really stepped up with a lot of stuff. Some of the security features that we've actually been asking for a couple of years, all of a sudden those have become to the forefront. So it gives us the opportunities now. One of the things that we are doing, we record these sessions for two reasons. One, for documentation, because we have to provide documentation. And two, this is the way that we can show that when we enter the room, we're the first ones in. When we exit the room, we're the last ones out. And that there's nothing else going on inside the room besides the stuff that needs to be done for educational purposes.
And we do have things being turned on to keep people from rejoining the room. There are steps we can take to make sure that's not happening, where the kids are getting back online in the middle of the night because they're video gaming or whatever. If they want to communicate with each other, that is through their own personal devices, and that is not using our platform. So we are not having that happen under our watch, so we're being really conscientious about that as well. So,
if you have a question for the show, the email address there, gcps.faq@greenup.kyschools.us. You can send it to there. That comes directly to us. The live chat feature is also available. If you're tuned in today, shoot us a message on the live chat. We'll give you a shout out. We want to see who all's out there.
Yeah, you'll have to tell me. I can't see the live chat.
I've got the live chat pulled up, so we'll see what we've got from there.
We are social distancing yet again today.
Yeah, we're trying to get things going from there. But if you look at where we are right now, it's one of the things. Here we are, I guess now 6 weeks into this, almost about 5 weeks into it,
right?
And it's 6 weeks until the actual true end of school date.
End of school.
And I guess we still don't have a whole lot of clarification of where we are going forward. But again, the guidance and direction that we've had from our governor has been second to none.
I cannot agree more, and I honestly am very grateful for him. I know that he gets questions thrown at him during press conferences, just as like I get questions thrown at me, not nearly as difficult thrown at me during different chats and things. But you know, the other day he was asked, I think it was yesterday, he was asked about closing school for good. And he just isn't ready to make that call. And I understand that. I wouldn't want him to make that call just yet because we need to see the next week go through as how our medical field is handling things and how the spread is going. So I do have a meet with him next week, early next week, and I do believe at that time he will tell us a little more. So basically right now we're just going to keep on pushing forward, have our education continue for our kids, and look at this as in we do plan to return back. So.
And it's I kid with kind of all this stuff. A guy that I used to coach with, Randy Vanderhoof, a legendary coach from Raceland, his motto on every game when it was raining or whatever, he said, "We're on until we're off." And right now, that's kind of I think the guidance and the leadership that Governor Beshear is taking. Everything that he is planning with hopes of going sooner than later. But at the same time, he understands later is probably the safer option.
And you know, that goes without saying with, we had some questions that kind of fit into this concept, I think. If you want to, one of them was, I know we announced that graduation, no matter what, would happen, and what about prom? This person said, personally as a senior, I didn't go last year, but I would go if they have it in July. My answer to that is, we are working as a staff. I've already been in some Google Meets. I've actually been showing up in some Google Meets. So I'm sure that's a nice surprise for a few kids to see the superintendent pop on, because I hope I don't make them uncomfortable, but I want to talk to them and know how they're doing. So one of them I showed up in was our student council. And then I'm going to talk with an English class on Friday. I've gotten scheduled in. So, Mr. Collier, you're going to have to invite me into one of your Google Meets. It's the cool thing. Everybody's doing it. And I'm talking to the seniors specifically about their situation and what they're concerned about. And they all have this concern. So I have a pipe dream. I'm not Martin Luther King Jr. I'm not that grand, but I do have a pipe dream. And my pipe dream is to have a senior week. Okay, so I would like to have a senior week. I'm thinking it would be and this is only if we don't return and we're still under health restrictions all through May, but to do it whenever we're allowed to come back, June, early July, whenever they tell us we can come back on campus full string. Like to have a senior week. In that week, I would like to still have the awards and banquet for the kids, make it a picnic. We might put some twists on it to go with the weather that we're going to be having at the time.
Which, who knows what that's going to be at the time.
Right. I mean, Mother Nature seems to be very angry with us right now.
Yes.
So when I have a senior week, I would like to allow them to have their prom, and I would like to allow them to have their graduation ceremony. We've talked about graduation ceremony being outside instead of inside, if that helps with social distancing. We've got lots of things running through our minds. I don't want to get anybody going crazy, and I really don't want to be Facebook ranted about my plans. But what I will tell you is we do want to have a senior week. I'm going to encourage local businesses to have things on the marquee celebrating our seniors throughout town. If they want to offer a senior discount that week, that will be fabulous too. A true senior discount I think would be fun. But I joke that all the area beaches, Daytona and Myrtle, they have senior week. Why can't we?
Sure.
So I think the whole town of Greenup could come together. I'm also working on our banners for our spring sports. Last week we turned on the lights every night at 8:20 to 10:20 to remind people that our seniors in all of our spring sports lost their season pretty much this year. So to honor them, we turned on those particular two lighted fields, the softball and the baseball field, just to kind of pay homage to the fact that we do understand they did lose their seasons. We also know, of course, track and tennis, they lost their seasons as well. So we're working on getting your banners still made. We're having Coach Gilbert to get in touch with families and find out how we can get some banners made and get those displayed so that people can still celebrate you. So,
Yeah, it's something. I know both of my kids played baseball, basketball, and football, and having that opportunity for senior night and to get to see them celebrate their evening.
Right.
It's a special moment as a family, and especially for the mom and dads, for the time of getting the kids back and forth where they need to do, all the time that you've gone through with the extra work, the lessons, the practices, the games, and it's one of those special times of year. So seeing, I know on my sports account, I see a lot of fields throughout the state to where they've painted those numbers on the fields. They put the lights up every night at
Nice.
8:20 for 2020. And if a lot of people don't understand why 8:20, 8 o'clock in the evening is military time 20.
Correct.
So the year 2020. So that's the reason they're going with that time frame there. So if you happen to be driving around and you see lights in your area on fields, nobody is practicing.
Nobody's
This is just
practicing.
paying homage to those
and we
great seniors.
truly are just doing it for a couple of hours. We're not wasting your electricity. We go ahead and throw that out there as well. We are really trying to pay homage to our kids. Something else I have the student council working on with me. They are going to help me gather data for each senior who would miss their sport this year. And we're going to start doing some highlight reels on Facebook, just posting the student, maybe some of the attributes, their hobbies, just kind of celebrate them like they would get on a senior night with their actual family, only they'll get it online with us. So, and if it goes well and we don't have any major concerns, I think that might be something fun to do as a tradition for all sports in the future. Some of this might be something that we go, oh, this worked out really well, and let's do it again.
And it's something that we, again, we're Jason Smith, our principal here at the high school, he likes to say it this is the best. We're building this plane as we fly it. So
Absolutely.
If we make mistakes, it's okay. It's not punting. It's, that part doesn't fit here. We have to back up and find the part that does fit here.
Absolutely.
But that's kind of what we're doing as we go along. Let's talk about packets. We've gotten through the first round of packets, and the question says, when is the next packet pickup date, and how do I turn in the current work?
Okay, so the next packet pickup date, obviously you had work before spring break and you have this week's work to complete. You can drop that off next Monday. We're going to go with the exact same routine we did the last time. We had a day shift and an evening shift available at every school so that students who maybe are working during the day or their parents are working during the day and they're unable to come during the daytime and pick up, they will have in the evening time as well. And then after Monday, some of our elementary schools have even opted to have a few extra days of it. So you might want to check their main Facebook page about that, and they'll do a phone call home and that type of thing. And then by appointment. So if you can't meet any of the times that they're offering for you, it will be by appointment. I encourage you, it went really well the last time. Remember that the social distancing rules still come in place. Do not get out of your car. Stay in your car when you come through. They will come to you with gloves, mask, and do an exchange. Remember, the work that you turn in will be quarantined for 14 days. So I know Mr. Collier and I were talking earlier about parents wanting to know where certain grades were. And if it's paper packets, we have to quarantine that. If it's something they've been doing online, they'll probably have some grades in there right now. But if it's paper packets, we have to quarantine those for 14 days. And I will go ahead and dispel the myth. I've heard out there that some kids want paper packets because they hear it's easier than what is online. This is what I'm going to tell you. The paper packets are the same as to what you're going to see online. A lot of the work that's online is actually just scanned in online from paper. So it's the same amount of work. It is not easier. It's just more sanitary. And that's what we're going for on that.
And I think the deadline, I think, is the biggest thing that you see there. Is the online, you have the option there of holding someone accountable for a deadline. Where the paper packet, you get that 2-week window, then it kind of sits in quarantine for 2 weeks. So it's a full month before anything shows up. But at the end of the day, it's all going to cycle back to the same place.
Yes, so you can put off the low grade for not turning anything in for quite a while. But after a while, the parents are going to figure out that their kid didn't turn something in. So students, if you're out there listening, just get everything turned in. And if for some reason you did not turn in your first 2 weeks, go ahead and bring them both in on Monday. Drop them both off, because we don't want to fail anyone. We want to make sure everyone feels like they gained some knowledge out of this. So just bring it all in. Bring it all in.
One thing to point out too, and this is something else, kind of going back to what we were talking about at the beginning of the show, we are required to make contact with every single student once a week. Now, this can be electronically, whether we're seeing work being submitted through Google Classroom. A lot of the teachers, I know myself included, I do a once a week wellness check to where my kids, they come into a Google Meet session, I check on them, any questions that they have, and then I give them a passcode, which goes into a Google form, and it shows that they were attended in the meeting. This is something that we have to do. So when we tell our kids, hey, we need to have you in these meetings, parents, these are mandatory meetings by the state. We have to make this physical contact so that we assure, one, the wellness of the child, but at the same time making certain that things are happening on the educational side as well.
Absolutely, and it is something I believe strongly in. I'm very concerned about students if we have not heard from them. That makes me worry, not just for where is your work, that makes me worry about how is your well-being. So I think a lot of people are understanding now that our schools provide more than reading and writing and math and science and social studies. They also provide counseling, they provide mental health awareness activities, they provide food, sometimes clothing. So there's a lot that we provide that we are having trouble being able to do if we don't hear from you.
And one thing too is, if this is speaking for the students, if for some reason, whatever, you have a session that you oversleep. I've had several kids, I think some of our kids are nocturnal. Some have even told me that they are. They cannot wake up to an alarm clock. But if you miss that session, still reach out to your teacher. Don't just blow the session off. Say, hey, I overslept, or I forgot about that meeting. That still counts as your contact. And your teacher can work with you to however system that they're working to get you contacted. And again, like I said, we have every single student that we have to make contact with once a week.
Right, and teachers are doing their job on that. They are doing a great job with that. I'm hearing that from parents. Being a parent myself and being familiar with a lot of people in the Greenup County area, I do kind of get some insider information. And I hear that, our teachers are doing a fabulous job reaching out to the kids, which our teachers are like me. They're concerned. They worry about you at home. They don't plan on just teaching you. They actually care for you. So just know that if we haven't heard from you, we're very concerned. So it's not just your work that you're missing. It's just knowing that you're all right. So that's important to us.
Again, if you have a question for the show, the email address there at the bottom of your screen, you can send it there. The live chat feature on YouTube is also available. If you're watching at home, send us a message. We'll give you a shout out to see. I know we've got roughly been bouncing around between 40 and 50 live. The last episode we did before spring break, it's up over 700 views. So the message is getting out there.
It's a little stressful to be the person behind this camera. And I'll be honest, guys, I have a little bit of a headache today. And so I'm trying to not squint or give angry face to the lights.
Yeah.
But if I'm making angry, please don't freeze frame my face.
Yeah, we had the very first episode we did. We created a meme that was just on. It hasn't shown up yet, but I promise you that meme.
There is one. Somebody sent it to me directly.
I love it.
Mike Ratchet. He sent me one, and he promises that as long as I agree to all of his terms,
he'll never use it again.
It'll never go out.
It's out there. So
it is out there. It exists. The next question kind of goes along with what we were just talking about as far as pick up and drop off. The next question is, when will my first set of work be graded? And the answer to that is we should be seeing those starting to be sorted and coming out into the system. So I do know that teachers are now starting to finally get those papers, but we did have them in containers and had them locked up for a little bit just to kind of help. And I've asked if they're going to sort and grade, put on your gloves, be safe, take care of yourself when you do it. So it may take them a little bit longer to grade because I don't know how grading works with gloves. I'm thinking it doesn't work very fast.
There's not a lot of things works well with gloves.
No, nothing I have found works well with gloves. However, you will be starting to see your grades pop up. So
And again, if for the parents at home, if you're not seeing anything, and it goes for the students too, if you're not seeing anything populate in Infinite Campus, reach out to that teacher. Maybe that they've overlooked something's gotten lost in the shuffle or whatever, and they can certainly follow up with it from there.
My child completely regrets my access to Infinite Campus.
Oh yes, most of them do.
Yeah.
Next question. I'm finding my phone and tablet are a little too small to work on. Is there a possibility of checking out a Chromebook?
Absolutely. We have a whole process in place. There's a form that you will sign off on stating that you will be responsible for this Chromebook. Parents know that whenever they do get the Chromebook, it will have the same safety settings on the Chromebook that it does when it's in our possession here at the school. So it will not be able to link to anything inappropriate. It has all the filters on it, just like we safeguard them here at school. So it's a basic Chromebook. It'll allow them to do everything they need to do as long as they have internet connection. If you are struggling with internet connection, there's a couple of options. At each of our schools, no matter where your child goes to school, every school has opened up their Wi-Fi stronger. So that means that the parking lots now have hotspots. So if you live close to a school or if you live maybe at an Argolite and you go to Graysbury or go to the high school, you could still go to the Argolite parking lot if you wanted to and utilize that. We have notified the police that this could be happening. So if they check on you, you just have to show them that this is what I'm doing and they're fine with it.
Have a Chromebook handy when you're doing this. Yes, have the
Chromebook handy and say this is what I'm doing. I'm really working on schoolwork. But we do, and we have, guys, we have cameras. We know if something bad goes down. But with good faith, we want to offer that to you. So I've talked to people who say, well, my house Wi-Fi isn't strong enough. My house server, I have 3 kids on it. They can't all get on it at the same time. This is where we're trying to alleviate some of that with giving you the Chromebook checkouts. That way they're not having to take turns on one computer in the household too. Another option that I want to be really conscientious to share with you, but also caution you. Several of the area internet, dish, satellite, Wi-Fi folks, they're offering free services to students. Here's what I want you to be really conscientious of. Look at the fine print on those. Great. Take the free service if that's going to work for you, but see how long that free service really lasts and does it lock you into a contract, because I really don't want to see our people, not to use the word duped, but that's the best one I can come up with, and think, okay, I've got this free service, I can cut it off when I want, and then they say, no, you signed 2 years with us. So just be really cautious of that, because I don't want to see anyone getting taken advantage of.
Yeah, and it's something in this time of uncertainty, that it's some things, the luster wears off very quickly, and a quick fix turns into being a really long-term problem. So, and
the other thing we are finding is tons of software companies are targeting homes, advertising homeschool, advertising to us as schools free software that we can use with our kids to teach online. But that also is the same thing. It opens us up to contracts later on. It also, we are very careful about which companies we do have work with. For instance, we have Accelerated Reader, we have the Exact Path, the Study Island, the Plato. All of that has security in it where that they can't get access to our network files on student information. So not all companies have those things, and that's why we don't use all companies. So keep that in mind too. Sometimes it's a phishing scam to get some information that you don't want them to have. So.
All right, moving right along, some announcements that you have in here. You've got a superintendent council member meeting coming up soon?
I do. I have not even notified them yet, so if they're watching, they'll be the first ones to know.
Heads up.
Heads up. I would like to meet with you Tuesday, April 21st at noon. So that gives you a little bit over a week to set your clock and remember to get out of bed. So at noon, and this is the superintendent council. So I want to meet with you guys. This is grades 6 through 12. And we'll just talk. I want to do a health check in with you, see how you're doing, and get your feedback on how NTI is going. And we had talked about doing a couple of different community projects. And I have ideas. I know you guys are not surprised by that, but I do have ideas. So with that said, let's let's all get together. I'll send you a link here later on in the week so that you'll know to join it. Okay. And then I have one more from KDMC. They have been great to communicate with me about how things are going. And, I look forward to the email from their CEO each week because she kind of keeps us updated and tells us where we are. Because right now they are our main provider that we have dealing in Kentucky. Obviously we have SOMC as well, but because we are in Kentucky, we get our information from King's Daughters. So they have sent out a message, and they have asked us to remind you that some people may be skipping on going to the emergency room or to the doctor because they are afraid to go. And I get that, but they have asked us to share with you, so this is not directions from the superintendent, this is directions from health providers, that if you're experiencing chest pain, stroke signs, including loss of vision, numbness, difficulty speaking, a drooped face, loss of consciousness, breathing issues, abdominal pain, coughing, urinary issues, seizures, pregnancy complications, they still want to see you for those things. Don't tough those out, okay? So they just want us to remind you that we don't want you to delay your life-saving medical care because you're afraid of the coronavirus. So I don't think they're wanting you to flood it for a paper cut, but they do want you to come in when you really do have some things going on.
Yeah. Paper cuts can probably
paper
be
cuts,
taken care of at
no.
home.
Chest pain, yes.
Yes.
Okay.
So if it was something that you felt in the past that deserved a medical attention, either via 911 or a trip to the emergency room, then probably make that trip. But minor bumps and bruises and stuff, as I'll say what we were always told as a kid, rub some dirt on it, you'll be fine.
Yes.
Or I guess in this day and age, we're supposed to rub hand sanitizer on it.
It's hand sanitizer, and it will sting.
Dirt still works too.
It'll sting.
One thing today, a very special day, and it connects back to sports, but it's such an important day in our history. Jackie Robinson Day. And again, I've got the Red Sox logo on today. But whether you're a fan of baseball or a fan of sports or not, today is a very special day in our history of our country because this was the day that a lot of barriers were broken in our country when the color barrier finally took that step over. And it's difficult as a sports fan to not look on TV because this is a very special day because any game that you saw on TV today, every single player was wearing 42.
Okay, so we're missing. Are they going to do some highlights and
so a lot of teams have been doing stuff. I'm actually, I'm going to, the movie 42, if you have never watched this, I will suggest this is a very powerful movie, okay? It's not for all audiences, and if you do elect to watch this as a family, there's some very strong language in it of that time that connects back to the color barrier. But it's one of those things that I think it's something that, as a history moment, it's a great opportunity for a family to sit down and understand what was going on before. Baseball was not like it was. The majority was white players. Black players were not welcomed into Latinos, Dominican Republic folks. They were not in the game. They played in the Negro League. So I'm actually going to watch the movie tonight. I'm going to do a Google Meet with a lot of my friends, and we're going to live tweet 42.
Okay.
And as a sports writer, it's one of my dreams to someday cover a Major League Baseball game when I can look out and everybody's wearing 42. Okay. So
I agree, and I think that my son and I and my daughter will be tuning in. We'll be finding 42 somewhere
42,
and get that. Do you know if anybody has it streaming?
I'll have to look and see if it's on any of the places. But
we have everything you can imagine.
I think we've gotten about every possible thing that you can connect up to. But it's worth the watch. It's about a 2-hour movie. The actors that they had in the movie are some of the best actors in the world. I mean, they really, really paid homage to this, and it's a great flick to watch. Whether you're a sports fan or not, it's worth the time to sit down and take a look at.
Well, I'll be looking for your live tweets, but I do want to tie it into, for everyone to be aware, right now we're making history.
Absolutely.
Keep that in mind. This is a time I've never lived through an entire country being shut down. This is a very historical moment. So if you are not documenting in some way through pictures, through Facebook, through Twitter, I think that's our digital scrapbook anymore. Make sure you're taking notes as to what life was like, because believe it or not, in a few years, people are going to ask you what that was like because they don't remember.
Yeah,
So.
and I know it's funny with my son, his first year of college. I said, this is a year that you're never going to forget. He's had some ups and some downs and some different things of decisions that he had to make. And I said, we've gotten to the point we're a professional moving company for you.
Yes. Hey, I'm moving in a couple of weeks if you want to use your services.
So how will that work? Are you just going to kind of set to move Tracy?
I think my kids our house, I'll be honest, it's a disaster right now between NTI, my husband being a teacher on NTI, my kids, 2 of them doing work for NTI, and myself coming in and out of the house, coming to work to check on things, then going back and still working. This job is a 24-hour job. And I decided that with NTI, if there was such thing as taking 24 hours and making it into 36, NTI does that for everyone. So with that said, I'm also packing boxes and throwing things away because we did sell our house and we are relocating. So I'm packing, and so if you think your life is crazy, I relate to you. I really do relate to you. So just hang in there, and as the governor says, we will get through this together.
Absolutely. I have to ask you a question. Have you been following along with the Little Debbie Snack Cake Challenge?
I have seen it, but I'm trying to diet. You are not helping.
I'm not helping, am I?
You are not helping, so I have not been partaking in it. Who is winning?
Well, the Sweet 16 will be released this afternoon. So voting concluded last night.
So did the Little Devil's Food cakes that are kind of, did they make it?
Devil's Squares is the name of those. And I can't remember if they made. I'll have to.
They're like a little Hostess cake, and they had the white squiggly on top and then the cream inside.
Oh, no, you're talking about just straight cupcakes. So now you're hang on. You're cross branding. So you have Little Debbie.
Well, we called them, I think they were called King Dongs.
Now that's Hostess. That's all through Hostess. The Little Debbie version of it is called Cocoa Creams.
I grew up in West Virginia, so I don't know that I had all the access to really compete in this
I actually started with 60 Little Debbie cakes, did the research on this. And
I saw the pumpkins, and I love the Christmas trees.
Yeah, some of the Christmas trees are playing strong. The pumpkins, not so much.
Okay.
And there may have even been a #1 seed that got upset last night. So.
Really? Okay, I'm going to have to go look. Oh, and there's one other thing, speaking of technology, one other thing. Do you see this, guys? Can I see this? Okay. So I want to give a shout out to our technology team. Bless their hearts. They're making sure all of our lines are working, all of our servers are working, helping us troubleshoot all of how people are attacking Zoom and safety issues. And then I said, hey, they're saying we need PPE. Would you care to see what you can 3D print? So we tried a mask. The mask was not very flexible and it would break easy. We wanted something more comfortable for our people. So then we saw that this was actually a popular item. And this is to help people when they wear their masks. It gives them a break. They can hang their the actual elastic off of that on the back of their head so that they're not breaking down their ears. Nice. So we have so far over 260 that have went out the door of people across the area claiming them. So if you are interested in this, just if you need 1 or 2, or if you need something for an entire department, let us know, and we're kind of getting them stacked out there.
Very nice, and thank you so much for those.
Yeah.
Jill Armstrong just tagged in hashtag Team Swiss Rolls, by the way. She's all about the Little Debbie Snack Cake Challenge, but the 3D printing side of things, that's something that it's a new element that we've never really traveled into, because when you talk about 3D printing, it's exactly what it is. I mean, it's something that you can physically hold, and it has every element if you were holding something lifelike in your hands.
And we do have STEM at each of our schools, and they all have the ability to 3D print. So a lot of our gifted students do it. Our Project Lead the Way classes at the middle schools have it. And then every time I go into the library here at the high school, there's something 3D printing in there with Mrs. Hensley. So whenever we did print the masks, they were just a little too, I mean, they were nice. They were They were nice full-size masks, but they were just going to be uncomfortable. They were going to crack, and we didn't want anybody to get hurt. So these we felt pretty safe in giving away, and we weren't going to cause any damage to anyone. We didn't think we could mess these up too bad, and we wanted to help. So kudos to all 3 of those tech guys that have been doing this from home, mind you. They've been printing all these out.
Yeah, and the stuff those guys come up with, I know one of them, he's done so much with the network here for GCHS TV
Yes.
to help us get where we are, and Tony Carr, Philip Coffey, those 2 guys in contribute of everything that we've been able to do so much here, and I can't thank those guys for all the work that they've done so much.
And then Warren has headed up our gaming program, and he does the competitive gaming with the kids, and he's done a great job too. So I cannot say thanks enough for them, because I joked, I said I never knew that a little piece of plastic would make our community so happy. But they have been happy about this, so
excellent.
So good to them.
Well, that'll do it for us this week. We'll be back with you next Wednesday at noon. If you have questions, again, there's your email address. Send that. Someone may respond back to you. If we find that it's an immediate concern, we will respond back to you. And either way, we're going to present it on the show next week.
I just got a request. Stephanie Ratcliffe from the VA, so the Veterans Association, has requested guards. So
there we go.
We'll get to cranking them out for you, Stephanie.
We're trying to get as much stuff out as we possibly can, and we'll do everything we possibly can moving forward to get that out for them. So, Tracy, good luck packing. I know that you've got a lot of work to do on that
I can't guarantee
side
I'll be
of
in dress
things.
clothes next week, I'll be honest. But,
hopefully that everything goes okay with that, and you can get all the stuff that you need to go from there. But either way, good luck with that. And if you need help, just let us know.
We'll make it.
We'll figure it
happen.
out.
Yeah.
Guys, that'll do it for us this week. Again, if you have questions, hit us at the email address there at the bottom of your screen. Stay safe together in Greenup County and together Kentucky. Until next Wednesday at noon. Good afternoon, everyone.